Hey kiddos, hope everybody's doing fabulous today. We are going to be talking about plant structures and their functions. So just a quick reminder about what a structure and a function is. A structure is what builds something up. You can think about a structure as like a building. So what builds something up. So I think about Miss Albrecht, my structures, what builds me, what makes me who I am is I've got, my eyes and my nose and my hair, my skin. So those are all the things that build me, my arms and legs, that makes me Miss Albrecht. You might have some of those same structures as well. But the function is what those structures do. So for example, I have my nose, the function is to smell. The structure of my ears, the function is to hear. I've got my structure of my eyes, and the function is to see. So plants also have structures, and those structures, of course, have functions. Those structures are going to look very different than my own structures, but they might serve some of the same purposes. So for example, we're going to kind of look at these basic, you like my cursor there? It's a leaf, it's pretty great. So we're going to look at the different structures of plants. These are just the basic ones. And not all plants have these, but these are just, the basic plant structures, and we'll talk about the functions of each of those. So I've got a plant here. We got a couple of plants around my classroom. You might see I like plants. We're going to start kind of at the bottom and then work our way to the top. So if you think about a plant's roots, so we've got our roots in a plant, right? So that's one of the structures they're all over it. You can see, I'm getting dirt all over the place. So we think about what is the structure, is the root, but what is the function of the root? Well, roots have a couple of different functions. One is it keeps them anchored into the ground. If they had no roots, they'd just sit there, and anytime somebody walked by, they'd plop over, or if the wind blew, they'd blow away as well. So one function, is to keep them anchored to the ground. Another function of the roots is for them to absorb all of the nutrients from the soil and the water. So if I've got my water here, I put it in my best teacher ever mug, I pour it into the plant. The roots are going to absorb all that water and the nutrients into the soil. So it's got the roots have two functions: to anchor it to the ground, anchor the plant to the ground, or the pot here, and it is to absorb all of the nutrients from the soil and the water. So then we move on to the stem. So my stem might look a little different than the plant that you see on my screen, but then we've also got this plant here that has some different looking stems. Okay, so stems might look different on different plants. You think about what is the function of the stem. Why is it there? So different plants have different functions. So we might think about how this one, the main reason that plants have stems, the main function is for them to have the nutrients travel from the roots all the way to the leaves. So the function of the stem is to help transport the nutrients from the plant or from the roots to the leaves. So it's like the transportation system. Some plants might have a really flexible stem to withstand, maybe if it's in the water, so it'll wave back and forth, it'll be really flexible. While some stems, maybe like a trunk of a tree, might be really sturdy and not flexible at all. So it just depends where that plant lives, and we'll talk about that further into the unit. Next is we're going to skip the fruit for now, and we're going to go up to the leaves. So what is the function of these leaves? So you notice they're really different from each plant we look like. Back there in that plant, the leaves are huge, where these are a little smaller, and these leaves are really thin. So we think about what is the function of the leaves? Well, over here it says to perform photosynthesis. Fancy word. That just means that the leaves absorb sun, and they take the water, and they go through this process called photosynthesis. But that's just where the sun gives the plant food. So the sun is feeding the plant. But where does the sun go? It goes on to the leaf. The leaf. So the sun goes onto the leaf, and the leaf helps the plant go through this process called photosynthesis to give it food. So the leaves help feed the plant. Next is our flower, which we're also going to come back to. But I want to talk about the fruit first. So some plants have a fruit on them. And when I say fruit, I don't mean necessarily like a strawberry. I just mean something that holds the seed. So for example, this is a piece of a cucumber. I can get it kind of close here. Inside the cucumber, we've got seeds. Okay, the cucumber is the fruit. I know it's a vegetable, but we call it the fruit, the thing that holds the seed. And the fruit holds the seed and protects it. So the purpose of the fruit is to hold the seed and protect it from other animals eating it or for it to get destroyed. And then inside, if I can pluck one little seed out, ooh, they're so tiny, in the cucumber, the purpose of the seed is to help the plant reproduce and make more of itself. So when I've actually had, this has happened many times in my garden, an old cucumber just sits there and it has died, and the seeds go into the soil, a new plant might grow. That happens sometimes, it doesn't happen, it depends. But none of my plants have flowers. So we're going to watch a little video to talk about the flowers. I'm going to shrink myself so you guys can see the screen a little better.
But these plants don't have flowers like the ones in our garden. What do flowers do? I know that flowers are important parts of some plants. Flowers make us
Notice she said some plants, not all plants, because not all plants have flowers.
powder called pollen, which helps them make new plants. Look, there's a seed at the end of this petal. I guess flowers help the plant make seeds and fruit. But what do seeds and fruit do? There's so many seeds in this watermelon.
That makes me hungry.
Seeds are important because they can grow into new plants. Well, since seeds are inside the fruit, I bet the fruit protects the seeds. And fruit is really tasty. When animals eat fruit, the seeds pass through them and end up in a different place.
You know what that means, right? They eat them and they pass through them.
You should go plant these seeds and grow new plants. Then you can have all the watermelon you want. You swallow the seed?
He's going to grow one in his belly.
Don't worry, a watermelon plant isn't going to grow inside you. That's not how it works.
All right, guys, let's quickly review what we've learned. So we've got the basic parts of the plant. Again, not every single plant has all of these structures. These are just some of the basic ones. We've got our roots. Their function is to absorb water and nutrients from the soil, and the purpose is to anchor the plant. Then we have the stem. They are the travel system. They bring the water and nutrients from the soil, from the roots all the way to the leaves, and they also support the plant from falling over, just kind of like our spine does. We've got the fruit. The purpose of the fruit is to protect the seed. We've got the leaves, and the point of the leaves, or the function of the leaves, is to perform the process called photosynthesis, which is just giving the plant the food. And then we've got the flower, which helps the plant reproduce, just like the seed helps the plant reproduce. Alrighty, guys, your job today is going to be to go to Google Classroom, and I want you to answer the question. Choose one of these structures and one of the functions and tell me about it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Have a great afternoon. Bye, guys.